Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced. This is a game between magicians. With the white pieces we have 5 times world champion Viswanathan Anand, Vishy Sir, and here with the black pieces we have Vassily Ivanchuk. One of the most dominating players of their time. This game was played in 1996, so in Las Palmas, and yeah, this is going to be one hell of a game. You're absolutely going to love this. Here with the white pieces, Vishy Sir starts with e4. We have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. We go into the real low pace. We have a6, Murphy's defense, bishop to a4, knight to f6, and just castles. Now we have bishop to c5. Just going for this same with the Morphe's defense, and just this is a different move. Somewhere along the line you see b5, bishop goes back, you play a move like c3, and there is d3 or d5 depending on the position. Rook comes in. You just get the knight. You know the main idea. That's what it goes for. Here knight captures on e5 was played by Vishy Sir, and yeah, this is absolutely amazing. And what do you even do in this position? And Vassal just in this position goes for this amazing knight captures on e5, and you have to go for this d4 now. Seems so good. There was a game between Duda where he actually mouse slipped and played d3 and lost the game. I showed it on my channel. That was really sad. But here just knight captures on e4 was played, but now here rook to e1, and now you can see that there is trouble brewing definitely. Bishop to e7, but now just comes this rook captures on e4, and now how do you survive in this position? And now the knight has to move knight to g6, but now just comes this beautiful c4. C4 is a good move in this position because you're just taking a lot of space in the center, and yes, you can understand that there is just absolutely amazing activity for the white pieces, and that's definitely going to show here. Just castles by black, knight to c3. Now just a nice developing move. We have d6, knight to d5, and now what do you do in this position? Bishop to h4 was tried, just trying to get the bishop out of the way, because here Vassal just maybe didn't want to actually trade the bishop early on. But here just queen to h5, and now you can understand that the position is very rich. And if you're wondering why not, well, you have the bishop here, why not go for a move like g3? G3 is not a good move because c6 comes, and then you have to worry about all of this. And it's even if you go for knight to c3, then again the bishop can move back. There is no issues once the bishop goes back because knight is not there on d5. That's why queen to h5 trying to go for it. And now also the bishop is hit. There is some pressure, and now you're gonna have to be very careful here. C6 was tried the same, but just the rook captures on h4. A beautiful sacrifice. You cannot go for a swish and soak now because this will be checkmate, so you have to be very careful. Here queen captures on h4 was played, but maybe knight captures on h4. If you try to go, then the position becomes very nice, because now comes bishop to g5, and now what do you do in this position? If you go for a move like f6 in this position, now bishop captures, c captures, queen captures on d5 with a check, king to h8, bishop to g3 is very strong. And now you have to understand, either you lose the pawn or the position becomes much vulnerable. So after rook captures, queen captures was played, but now comes queen captures on h4, knight captures, and now how do you justify all of this madness right from just move 15? Well, knight to b6, and now the rook is forked, the bishop is forked. Either you lose the bishop pair, bishop early on, and otherwise you lose the exchange, which you don't want to give. So definitely rook to b8 is the only move. If you go for rook to a7, then unfortunately somewhere along the line the bishop can join in, and there could be some ideas of trapping that bishop. So you have to be very careful. This position is very rich. That's what you have to understand. But you could also go for this knight to f5. After this after this knight to b6, you could go for this knight to f5. The problem in this position is d5, and d5 is a very nice move in this position. You can understand your rook is on a7, your bishop is not developed yet. I'm just pushing all the way, and that knight looks good, but it's not doing anything. So the position is very nice. And actually, believe it or not, the best move in this position is actually bishop to f5. Can you really believe it? Here you can actually sack the exchange after knight captures, rook captures, bishop to f4, and you'll be absolutely fine here. It's still a draw, and yeah, that's absolutely amazing, because the thing is, pawn structure is absolutely same. You already sacked the exchange, so you give it back, and even when you were up the exchange, you were not in a good position because the pieces were not that much developed, and this is the idea behind sacking the exchange and giving it back. But I think somewhere along the line, when someone sacks the exchange against you and you have the advantage, you don't want to give it back. You want to cling on to it. And here after knight to b6 or rook to b8 was played. That's why. But after bishop to f4, you can understand there is a lot of threats brewing in this position. What do you do here? Knight to f5 was tried, just defending against everything. And here we have d5. And again, d5 is a beautiful move in this position. Rook to e8 was tried, but now just comes this king to f1. So every back rank issues has been solved. And now I mean, you have to just worry about your development here. Your development is really, really bad. H6 was tried, but now just comes this very nice H3. And now what do you do in this position? Rook to E4 was tried, attacking the bishop, but just bishop back to H2. And it's important to keep this bishop on this diagonal because that pawn somewhere along the line is going to fall. C captures was played, and not actually going for anything of trading, not even knight takes, not even knight takes here, but a very beautiful move in this position. We have g4, and g4 is a very, very strong move. The idea is you cannot go actually c captures. If you go for c captures, then rook to b4, and yeah, you're losing the material, and yeah, that will be just game over. So g4 is something that needed to be played here. Rook captures on c4 was tried, but just knight captures, giving back the exchange. But is it a bit too late? And should you have gone for g captures instead? Well, if you go for g captures, then just rook caps on a4, knight captures, bishop captures, and now the position is that maybe you give some chances and some hope for Vassily in this position, because of the fact that you have some ideas. You have opposite colored bishop. Yes, white is a piece up, but again, there could be some chances of drawing in this position. So here knight caps on c4, and yeah, the position just completely collapses. D captures was played, but we have rook to e1, and now you can understand there are some ideas of getting that back rank ideas, because then the piece would be pinned and you can just win it. So here in this position, you have to be very, very careful. What do you do in this position? And if you're not liking the rook to e1 move, saying that why not just go for g captures on f5? Well, g captures on f5, you could also go for this bishop captures, bishop captures, bishop caps on h3 with the check, king moves, and rook to d8. Rook to d8 is the thing that with rook to d8, you have to understand two pieces against three pieces with the bishop pair. White is completely winning, and yeah, this would not have worked out. But rook to e1, much, much stronger move. Hey, bishop to e6 was played, but now could you have gone for knight to d4? Well, knight to d4 is just, the thing is rook to e8 check, and now king to h7, bishop caps on d6, rook has to move. Whenever the rook moves, now bishop to e5, and yeah, this is this is just a bit too much. I don't think so anyone could calculate so high towards this. But again, I mean, what do you do in this position? Your pieces are stuck. You have a knight which is about to be taken. If that is traded off, your position is absolutely crumbles. It's just a very bad position to have. But here bishop to e6 was played, but after g captures, we have bishop captures, and yes, it's 2 against 3. But maybe you can try something. But here just bishop caps on d6 was played. We have bishop caps on h3 with the check, king moves, and now rook to d8. Same line, but in a different move order. Rook to e8 check was played. Now trading off the rooks, rook captures, bishop captures, and I mean, you don't have the sufficient compensation for the piece, because even if you go for b5, you just have one pawn for the piece, and it's not sufficient. And here bishop to e6 was played, but now just a4, g5, a5, and just king to g7 was played. Bishop to a4, and we have king to g6 and bishop to d1 now, just now intending bishop to f3, and you can just pick up those pawns. But now we have bishop to d5, just defending against it, bishop to c2 check, king to f6, and bishop to c7, king to e6, bishop to h7, but now just going for this bishop to f3, king to h2, and just king to d5. So definitely Vassily is trying. He's trying to get the pieces in order. He's trying to get those, to push those pawns, and maybe just trying to create some sort of a fortress. But unfortunately, those kinds of fortresses does not exist in this world. A bishop to c2 was tried, bishop to e4, bishop to d1, and now just king to d4. So king is very, very active. So king and the bishop are definitely trying here. Bishop to e2 was played, bishop to d3, and yeah, the problem is, I mean, bishop to d3 was played, but you have to understand that a move like c3 seems like a good move. But again, I mean, bishop to b6 just completely wins the game right on the spot, so you cannot even go for that. Bishop to e2, we have bishop to d3, but now just bishop to b6 check, king moves, and now just going with the bishop back, f5, king to g3, king to e5, and bishop to c5. Once that king gets into the game, extra piece is going to be very, very deadly and very, very sinister. Queen to f6 was tried, bishop to h5 now, f4 check, but king to h2 was played, and it was on this move, on just move 46, that Vassily Ivanchuk resigned the game. And yes, I mean, so Vishy Anand played this game absolutely spectacularly, from sacrificing the exchange early on to keeping the pieces at bay, and not letting any development, anything happen in this. And yes, he did not give even a chance to develop the rook and the bishop. At the end, you had to trade everything down as soon as they went into the game. And yeah, he just constricted the pieces activity so much that he completely just won the game right on the spot, and there was no coming back from that. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching.